Welcome to AlphaCars Service Center. My name is Ian, and today we're installing some Baja Designs auxiliary lighting kits on this brand new 2023 Ford Bronco. We can see some of the lighting is already on the vehicle, so that's a little taste of what it's going to look like. But in this video, we're going to check out the quality of the kits, how we install them, and we also install the Amp Research PowerSteps on this Bronco and do a rust preventative treatment. So definitely check out those videos on our channel as well. But now let's take a closer look at these Baja Designs lights. So starting out, these three light options on the right, these will all go on the front of the vehicle in the front bumper using this very nice mounting bracket. So these will actually be located in this void of the front bumper. So we've got the Bronco in the bay right now. So these will fit very neatly in that little void on each side of the front bumper and look really like they came that way from the factory. So as I mentioned, this bracket goes there and mounts these lights. Very high quality, looks to be powder coated, very nice finish on it, very heavy duty. And we can see as well the yellow driving lights. These are great. That yellow color is great for cutting through fog, and even like if you're in a snowstorm, really adds some depth perception there. And then we've got a couple other beam patterns as well, so really have the ultimate light spread on the road. So that's very nice, as well as the harnesses. They all have these nice thick shielding on them to protect the wiring, waterproof connections we can see right there. This whole kit is just very high quality, very good choice on the customer's part. And then these two other options here, so these will go on the A-pillar of the vehicle. These have kind of a flood and a spot lens on them, how the beam pattern will be. And these get mounted using these very, very nice mounting brackets. So these use factory locations on the Bronco by the A-pillar, so there's no drilling or anything required. And then nice stainless steel hardware included there. And then lastly, these lights are going to go on the back of the vehicle as kind of whether it's a reversing light or just a light to be able to see, get things done around the vehicle at night, I guess, maybe a campsite situation. And those use this very nice bracket. This mounts on the spare tire, and then they mount on top. You can see there those two mounting holes. So that'll be very cool. And as far as wiring these up, there's many options. It's really as the customer desires, because there's many options, whether you want the front fog lights to behave as OEM and come on with the front fogs and shut off with the high beams come on, or we can wire various things to their own switch. I know the customer wants the rear floodlights. They want those always ready to use with the keys on and off on their own switch. And then the A-pillars, those would usually be on their own auxiliary switch, and all these can be wired to the factory auxiliary switches that come in the car, so it looks OEM. And then, as I mentioned, with the front fogs, depending on how things are wired or how things are coded in the vehicle, these you can do some cool things with integrating them like factory lights. So that's really all up to the customer of how they want things done there. So now that we've seen this exciting kit, very high quality, we're excited to get going on the Bronco with the installation. And now we're in the middle of installing these fog lights on the Bronco. So we can see there's some wiring hanging down there. I'm going to explain kind of where we're at and how we've run the wiring and just some cool facts about the Bronco. So we can see how nice these look in the bumper. And of course, these aren't adjusted to their final position. They're kind of loosely in there as we're tweaking things. But we can see how nicely the harness is run on this side. And it's actually run in a factory location up behind the bumper in there. It's actually kind of hard to see. So it's out of the way, it's out of the elements, not going to get caught in anything. So just a very clean and detail-oriented installation there. And you can even see how that plate mounts to the bumper. And then on the driver's side, we can see all the excess wiring. So this is really how it looks initially before we tidy things up. So this is kind of the work that goes into tidying the wiring, making it clean, running it properly. And we can see how nice these harnesses are with that protective sheathing on it there. And we have the fender well out of this side. We can see the whole side of the engine. There's a turbo in there. There's a lot of things going on this side of the engine compartment. But if we look at where this wiring is run, it's actually run with the factory harness. So unless you have a trained eye, you would think it's all factory with how this is run. It's even run through this plastic housing here with the factory harness. So really just done right, in our opinion, keeps it out of the way, and really a factory-like installation. And then one of the cool facts about the Bronco, we can see these wires here that have kind of this heat shrinking on the end that I point to. See, there's kind of loose wiring. So we pulled those down. Those are pre-wired in the Bronco for the auxiliary switches. So some of those circuits are powered, some aren't. So really cool what Ford does here. Already having these accessory switches in the vehicle and then making it easier to wire when they have that already pre-run. And then another side point, we can see how these bolt heads, they say Bronco on them. So anywhere on the vehicle there's these Torx bolts that say Bronco on the faces, that actually means that Ford makes an accessory that could bolt there. Of course, this vehicle is optioned with the modular front bumper, so you can see it's kind of bolted together. It's made up of different pieces that are bolted together, so it's very customizable. And like I said, anywhere you see that Bronco written in those faces, Ford makes some sort of accessory to personalize your Bronco. So just some really cool touches there that Ford did that are just kind of interesting to know besides the installation of this lighting. And now we're working on installing the A-pillar auxiliary lighting. So we can see this side is installed. Of course, we'll fine tune the lighting aim once we have the whole kit together. But we can see how neatly the wire runs in behind the cowling. There's actually, I'll show you on the other side, in this cowling where I'm pointing, there's actually a little gap there that's already made from the factory, so you can run the wiring like that, nice and clean. And we can see how nice and flush this sits there. And of course, like I said, I still need to just fine tune it at the very end, but already looking amazing. This is where the factory antenna goes. We just removed that just because we've had this cowl popped up, and that's what I'm moving on to now is the wiring that run between these runs underneath the cowl in a little kind of tray that's already there where there's already some wiring. So once again, continuing that trend of having it done in really a factory way. So we can see this cowling is still slightly popped up as we're working on the wiring, and then the other A-pillar light will go right there. And now the Bronco's in the air because we just finished up the installation of those really nice looking rear auxiliary lights. So we can see that bracket that goes on the spare tire. We'll take a closer look at that once the vehicle's down. But I just wanted to show underneath the vehicle, the wiring runs along the factory harness along the frame rail. So there's actually not a lot to show because you can't really see it because it's just along, factory harness, run very cleanly and out of the way as it's supposed to be. And then it goes up. Of course, everything's been reinstalled as far as the fender well. We can see the liners back in, but then it runs up to the firewall at those factory connections I showed you earlier, where the rest of the lights are run. So then these are operated once again off those factory auxiliary switches when the ignition is on the vehicle. So now we're gonna lower it and just take a closer look at that bracket. And now that the Bronco's on the ground, let's just take a closer look at these rear auxiliary lights. Really a cool bracket, how it bolts into the factory hangers or fasteners for the rear spare wheel here. And we can see the wiring just runs into the wheel, and it's dark in there so you can't see it, but the factory waterproof connectors are just in there. So if you did have to remove the spare wheel, then you can just reach in there, unplug the lights, and then this bracket will come off before you remove the wheel, and it'll be totally separate. So, good thinking there with the connectors just being behind there at an arm's reach. And now let me open the rear hatch here, the rear door, to show you how the wiring is run down to underneath the vehicle as I showed you. So this is per the instructions. The wiring gets run along this the pneumatic strut here to help with the rear opening. So what we actually did was kind of run it behind it and put this sheathing around the strut. So then there's no chance of the harness moving around. You don't see any zip ties, and then it kind of just hides under the bracket there. So when first kind of opening this and looking at it, it would be hard to tell something is run there. So that was just an extra touch that we did, that this isn't included in the kit and this isn't really in the instructions. We just wanted a cleaner, kind of more future-proof installation. So I just wanted to show that point as well about kind of where these wires lead. So obviously, as we've seen, waterproof connectors right here at the bracket inside the spare wheel, runs along that pneumatic cylinder and then goes down underneath the vehicle, running along factory harness all the way to the connection at the firewall. And now that all the lighting's installed, I've got the ignition on the Bronco. Let's just take a quick look at how these are mounted. Once again, they look super nice, as well as the lights on the A-pillars. Of course, these aren't mounted yet. These aren't adjusted yet. They are mounted, obviously. But these will get finally adjusted when there's proper lighting to do so. So those are the rear auxiliary lights as we already seen. And then they're all operated off the factory switches. So the first 4 switches there on the left are what operate them. So I'll start flicking them on for you. So those are the yellow driving lights. Those are wired independently. Just so if you're in inclement weather, you might not necessarily want all the white lights on with those, because those might make it more difficult to see. So having just the yellows independent, you can really fine tune your lighting, especially, like I said, if you're in the snow or fog. And now kicking on the next switch, we've got those other 4 auxiliary lighting in the bumper. And then we've got our A-pillar lights, which we can see really how much light those put out there. And then the last switch is for the rear auxiliary lights. We can see even in the light of day, they're shining up the garage door there. So especially at night, these lights are going to be super useful for driving, or just illuminating something like a campsite, to be able to get something done around the vehicle at night. And welcome to the final segment of the Bronco. All the accessories are installed and they work beautifully. So quickly we'll recap. Of course, there's the rear auxiliary lights, which are looking great. Of course, it has the step sides. This side I left down for you so you can see it. And then, of course, the driving lights, or more auxiliary lights on the A-pillars, and all sorts of fun driving lights in the bumper. This vehicle, it's ready for customer pickup. The rustproofing and such we did on the underbody is all set as well. So let me just give you a quick peek there. You can see how nice that all looks. All that is protected. Check out that video. It'll pop up in the top right of your screen right now and be in the description if you want to learn how we disassembled and rust-proofed this new Bronco. Because a lot of parts, unfortunately, on these vehicles come ready to rust with no protection. Just driving one of these from the dealer to AlphaCars, there's already spots of surface rust on like the drive shafts and some other components, unfortunately. So this has been Ian reporting from our Boxborough service center. If you're interested in having any of these accessories or custom things done, or installed to your vehicle, just give us a call, 978-263-9000, or give us or send us an email rather at service@alphacars.com. We'll happy to discuss different options with you, give you a free estimate, and we can go from there. So thank you for watching this video. Please leave a like on it and subscribe so then you don't miss out on the latest motoring content.